Welcome to the second installment of our budget series. This is part one, going over what senior or key personnel are. Senior and key personnel are key players or those key roles in a project's success. They are senior or key because they have significant responsibility for the project. The term that is used can vary by sponsor or by opportunity. More often than not, you will hear it referred to as a principal investigator, a PI, sometimes a project director, a PD. Someone who shares responsibility would be a co-PI or a co-PD. Someone who has significant contribution, but not the same level of authority or oversight, be maybe a co-investigator or another significant collaborator, an advisor, a mentor, an evaluator, a statistician. And depending on how you define them in a proposal, there may be additional paperwork requirements as well as certification requirements. When senior personnel are salaried individuals, their time on a grant is listed as effort. It is a proportion of their salary. It is not hours based. It is typically expressed as a percent, a realistic estimate of the proportion of their university time. It should be reasonable, and there's only 100% to give. This 100% is split between all of your responsibilities for the university, whether you teach, serve on committees, conduct research, provide mentorship and training. 100% is 100%. Grant work is conducted within that 100%. It is a reallocation or a shift of existing time. It is simply taking that piece of your salary and moving it to a different fund. Your pay stays the same. At the time of proposal, effort is pending. It will go into any reports of pending and current support. If you are awarded, that pending becomes committed. And you should have a plan in case all of your pending proposals become committed. You need to make sure that you are able to complete all of your job duties. For a sample, I am going to consider faculty university effort. Typically, a full teaching load is 75% of a faculty member's effort in a year. They may spend 15% of the remainder of time on scholarship and that last 10% on service. This is not necessarily saying it is the same for everyone. This is just a general rule of thumb that depends on scholarship and service and how that is split. In order to do grant work, it has to be reallocated from somewhere. So this is an example where 5% is taken from scholarship. And here's an example where there is a course buyout, which is 12.5%, which has been reallocated from teaching. It is important to note that sometimes extra work happens. We don't always work a 40-hour week. That is not always reason for service in excess. By federal law, service in excess is not typically allowed on sponsored projects. If it is used incorrectly, that is a huge audit risk. It has to be a rare exception. It must be explicitly allowed by the sponsor, so it is important to document just in case of audit. And the big one is that it has to be outside the scope of your job description. So it cannot be other duties as assigned or I did extra of what my work already is. If you are granted service in excess, it cannot be conducted during your typical work week. It is essentially overtime or an overload. And it can't be asked for regularly. It does have to be irregular and temporary. If you are requesting it frequently, the expectation based on the policy is that your job duties get expanded. So one example that is typically allowed is summer salary for 9 to 10-month faculty. It's important to know when that is budgeted. It is expressed in months, but it is calculated based on monthly salary. And fringe is assessed. It's not fringe free. If you are receiving summer salary, you have to be doing summer work. You cannot be reimbursed for extra work you did during the academic year. And if you are already conducting summer work for the university, you cannot receive double salary for the same time period. So if you are teaching summer courses and you are doing 3 sponsored projects and you're going on vacation, those together cannot add up to more than 3 months. And you really do have to take into consideration personal time. You cannot be receiving grant payment or university payment during vacation time unless you are using vacation time. In part 2 of our senior and key personnel effort installment, we will go over how to estimate and calculate effort.